Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode. This episode comes out the day before Thanksgiving. So I hope you are enjoying your holiday. We could do a whole lot of episodes about Thanksgiving and all sorts of things with homeschool and whatnot. So I thought about doing that, but because it is November, I still want to keep doing stuff to help you with yelling. Also checking in with your no yelling, seeing how's it going. I would love for you to reach out to me, send me a DM on Instagram or head over and send me an email. I would just love to hear your wins, different ideas that you're doing. One of my clients I talked to, they made it a family challenge. And I love that because then it's not just mom against the kids or something like that, right? But it's this whole family challenge. And she was telling me that everybody had their own calendar and they have to do at least 18 days of no yelling to go do something, this fun activity as a family. So I thought that was the cutest idea. So I'd love to hear your ideas. How's it going? Wins you've had. It's way more fun to celebrate wins. It doesn't mean that we are pretending that we're perfect or anything like that. But when we can look at where we are succeeding and like, okay, this is what I'm doing well. How do I keep that energy and that momentum going versus beating ourselves up, thinking we're terrible, and that just keeps us stuck. So would love to hear how No Yell November is going for you. Also, I talked about last week about doing in-person events, and I had so many people reach out who were like, I would love to do this if it were online. So I switched it to an online event. So if you were interested in doing that, it is now an online event, still the same night, same time. And it's going to be a ton of fun. Eventually, I want to do more in person events because I love meeting with people one on one and doing all those things. But for now, this will be online. So come in your pajamas and come and hang out with me that night. There'll be a link to register for that if you want to on Instagram, my website, on my email list, all those good things. Okay, today I want to talk about the power of being an intentional parent, right? So we're talking about No Yell November. So what happens when we are an intentional parent, things that can happen. And I heard this talk and I wanted to read part of it from this talk. It is from Tad R. McAllister called Parents, the Prime Gospel Teachers of Their Children. So he says, Ben Carson said of himself, I was the worst student in my whole fifth grade class. One day, Ben took a math test with 30 problems. The student behind him corrected it and handed it back. The teacher, Mrs. Williamson, started calling each student's name for the score. Finally, she got to Ben. Out of embarrassment, he mumbled the answer. Mrs. Williamson, thinking he had said 9, replied that Ben to score 9 out of 30 was a wonderful improvement. The student behind Ben then yelled out, Not 9, he got none right. Ben said he wanted to drop through the floor. At the same time, Ben's mother, Sonya, faced obstacles of her own. She was one of 24 children, had only a third grade education, and could not read. She was married at the age of 13, was divorced, had 2 sons, and was raising them in the ghettos of Detroit. Nonetheless, she was fiercely self-reliant and had a firm belief that God would help her and her sons if they did their part. One day, a turning point came in their life and that of her sons. It dawned on her that successful people for whom she cleaned homes had libraries. They read. After work, she went home and turned off the television that Ben and his brother were watching. She said, in essence, You boys are watching too much television. From now on, you can watch 3 programs a week. In your free time, you will go to the library, read 2 books a week, and give me a report. The boys were shocked. Ben said he had never read a book in his entire life except when required to do so at school. They protested, they complained, they argued, but it was to no avail. Then Ben reflected, She laid down the law. I don't like the rule, but her determination to see us improve changed the course of my life. And what a change it made. By the 7th grade, he was at the top of his class. He went on to attend Yale University on a scholarship, then Johns Hopkins Medical School, where at age 33, he became its chief of pediatric neurosurgery and a world-renowned surgeon. How was that possible? Largely because of a mother who, without many of the advantages of life, magnified her calling as a parent. Oh my goodness. Isn't that amazing? My kids read a book on Ben Carson years ago, and it was one of those books that I had just had them read. I think it was for a co-op class, and they were like, This guy's amazing. This is so cool. But I hadn't read it myself. So when I heard about this and what his mother did, it blew my mind. Talk about obstacles. She was probably working full time, doing her very best. It said she had a third grade education. She couldn't even read. And here she was, saw what she could do for her boys and held to her guns and became this intentional parent to her boys and completely changed the trajectory of their lives. You know, it would have been fun. I don't know what happened to Ben's brother, but with Ben, obviously, he became a very world renowned, amazing doctor. So the power that one mother had and being intentional with her boys completely changed their lives. Now, you cannot make your child become something, but you can do your best to help them and help them be on a road to success. We are so lucky as homeschool parents that we get to be right there with our kids. We can be intentional and help them read good books, intentional with the music that we listen to, and intentional with the words we say. Now, I know many of you are trying to do these good things, but you cannot plant seeds in a pile of weeds. So, this is why having the foundation of not yelling and being a safe parent is so important, because then the seeds we plant are able to grow. In the New Testament in Matthew, it says, the parable of the sower. And it says, behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth, and where the sun was up, they were scorched. And because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. So, as we are trying to plant seeds and being this intentional parent with this life we're trying to create for our children, we have to be very mindful of where are we planting these seeds, right? So, if we are just tossing some seeds by the wayside, maybe that is us being critical, right? So maybe we are having them read really good books, but then we're really critical with all their writing or how they speak or what they're wearing, right? And we just are constantly nagging them. Maybe you're trying to plant seeds on stony places. That's yelling and hitting, right? So they don't feel safe and it's not exciting, and it's really like reading became a really terrible thing, because every time I was learning to read, my mom sat and yelled at me, right? Maybe you are trying to plant seeds among thorns, and that may be taking your child's actions personally and overreacting. So no matter what they do, it's this overreacting. Why would you do that? What in the world was going on? What would make you do these types of things, right? And just kind of that freaking out at your kid all the time. So you want to be very intentional with where you are planting these good seeds. And this is part of the reason why I have this No Yell November, because I have seen it time and time again with my clients start putting their seeds into good soil, which is being calm, being patient, being loving with their kids, and watching those seeds grow. I also see what happens when clients are like, yeah, like I don't want to do that or try those things, and it completely backfires. Reading becomes a chore. Kid is crying, mom is crying, kid is begging to go back to school because mom yells at them so much, and it just starts becoming this unsafe, unhappy environment. If you want to have this foundation where your kids are excited to learn, they are excited to be with you and to study and learn and do all of these types of things, you have to be planting these good seeds in good soil. So, as you continue to go this November of working on the skills of not yelling, you are removing the weeds. And sometimes, if a weed has been in there for a really long time, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get out, and that's okay. Because as you continue to work at it, you're going to get better and better. And eventually, you're going to get this really amazing soil where you're calm and patient. And then as you plant those seeds, they grow and they flourish. And what did it say in the scripture? That some of these seeds brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. So continue being the intentional parent with setting your kids up with intentional good books, intentional good music, all those types of things, but also be intentional with how you are showing up. Keep going, my friends. Keep loving on your babies, being patient with them, and watch them flourish. Love you so much, and I'll talk to you next week.